All right, welcome to the show, everybody. We got a show for you. I'm Donald W. Moore. I started Get Off My Lawn Records over a year ago now.
Yeah.
And it's been a weird week.
Yeah, I think that's probably the only non-curse word we can use to describe it.
Yeah, it's out there right now. So be safe, everybody. So if you're just joining, if this is your first Get Off My Lawn Records episode, we should talk briefly about what we do, right? We're a record label.
Okay.
We're in Austin, which has a lot of really good bands, and we're just trying to find the really good ones, and we're going to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a band called the Jazz Destroyers, and...
Tell them, not me.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. So I have a band, the Jazz Destroyers. You should subscribe to both this channel and that channel.
Yes.
The Jazz Destroyers, this is for the talking. The Jazz Destroyers is for the music. You won't get a lot of talking on that channel. It'll be once a week, a 7 to 8 minute video of us improvising, and it's pretty slick.
Yes.
And I wish more people watched. I always wish more people would watch. I think it's really good. Also, if you're here, leave me a comment. Leaving a comment surprisingly helps spread the word about what we're doing. If you can think of a hashtag to use, hashtags actually work on YouTube.
Do they?
Yep. And we have a Snapchat, which is Get Off My Lawn Reco. And I don't know what I'm doing with Snapchat, but it's an interesting thing. If you want to hear the story 7 seconds at a time. We have who's here with us? We have Regal Cat sitting on the floor. I think we should start setting up a cat cam.
I think so.
Right, cat cam might be good, especially for these episodes where it's just you and me.
Mm-hmm.
So leave us a comment. What do you think about doing a cat cam for the show? Right, that'd be fun.
We could even attach to the bottom of the tripod.
Yeah, I could clip it on. Where's my clip?
You could.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. We'll deal with it later.
So that's kind of what the show's about, right? We also do educational content. We do Carissa Explains It All,
Yes.
which is our section 2. We'll get to that after this. And we've done some science today. What's our topic today?
How to make an album.
Yeah, she's going to explain how to make an album. And then after that, we'll have section 3. What I think I'm going to do... So this week we talked to Ben Parker of Teton Guitars. And I'm pretty excited about Teton's business model. They seem to be good guys trying to do things the right way.
Okay.
Obviously they manufacture overseas, but they try to do it in a really good way. I do quite a bit of background prep, right? And so I called around, and I can't put my hands on one. They're just not anywhere in Austin. There's not a single dealer in Austin. So
where's the closest dealer?
San Antonio or Fredericksburg.
Fredericksburg? Over Austin? Really?
They're having a lot of luck with mom and pop music stores, which is great.
Yeah.
The guy I talked to, his name was Bill. He had a music store out there, but really he taught lessons. And I'm reminded entirely of Putnam Music Center. We got to see that last time we were back home. Mm-hmm. That was where I would have bought some of my first instruments and gear and things. Mm-hmm. And it's really a very small storefront that teaches lessons. Okay. The storefront makes some money, but the money's made on the lessons. Mm-hmm. And then what's great with these guys is they're looking for kind of low, mid-range priced instruments, because a kid will show up, have $100 junker, and very quickly they'll go, yep, time to upgrade. And they don't want to recommend something that's, $4,000.
Right.
But they want a good option in that, like, it looks like some of their stuff is $300 to $600 is about their range, which is a really good... I mean, they make acoustic guitars, and I've been watching their YouTube channel. They have a really good YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And they do really nice demos of the stuff. And I told them, I said, if you ever want me to demo something, we'll work it out. But I want to wait till there's a bigger audience, right? Because if they're going to pay for shipping both ways, that's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So I would love to demo one, though. I'm on them to build me an instrument.
Really?
Well, not me. I want them to build everybody an instrument, but I want one. There's one. I know.
Of course there is.
Well, so I'm working on Joe. Mm-hmm. This is Joe. I think we'll do a later episode on this instrument. Joe here is a baritone, right? So
yes.
He's tuned lower, and I really want a acoustic also of this tuning system. This tuning system is way out, but like it just sounds very, very strange when you come across it. But but these guys could build it, and they could build it at a price where everybody could learn how to play this tuning, and imagine how much better the world would be. So section 3, we're going to talk to Teton guitars.
Okay.
I think I haven't decided how I'm going to edit it yet. We recorded our conversation on Wednesday. Yes. I totally screwed up. I didn't roll my camera. So we're just going to stare at Ben the whole time, but it's going to be fun.
I wasn't here. You can't blame it on me.
Yeah. You know what I might do?
I think that was Tuesday, wasn't it Wednesday?
Yeah, that would have been Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Because today's Thursday.
Yes.
Normally we record this show on a Saturday. It comes out every Sunday. Mm-hmm. So we put out the clips during the week, but it's a Sunday show. We're not going to be able to do the show this Sunday for personal reasons. End of story.
This Saturday, you mean?
Saturday, right. So I'll be back in town. We're going to get it. I'm going to get everything scheduled and published on schedule, but I won't be manually publishing this week. We're going to semi-automate it.
Okay.
So especially this week, if you see the clips, open them up, leave a comment, hit the like button. All of that stuff really helps generate search traffic. But after our conversation with Teton Guitars, we have our announcements, our goals, and we'll do a giveaway.
Okay.
And then after that, we do our shout-outs, which is one of my favorite parts of the show. Normally, we have our section 6 is our deep thought for the week. Mm-hmm. But this week, the Teton conversation is kind of a big conversation. Mm-hmm. So I like to skip that on weeks we have interviews.
Okay.
And then our final section, if you hang out all the way to the end, is everybody gets a trophy. Mm-hmm. Right? Hashtag everybody gets a trophy.
Yes.
And so let's have a good time. Welcome to the show if you're new. If you've been here a while, hello. And let's move on to section 2. What is section 2? Section 2 is Carissa Explains It All.
Yep.
And we have our Keynote Run iPhone.
Yes.
Or iPhone Run Keynote. This stuff really just talks to each other very cleanly.
If we were using my phone,
yeah,
I could control it on my watch.
Why aren't we using your phone?
Because my phone's not keyed into your computer.
You just connect to the Wi-Fi and just give it a code. You just gotta install the app.
This is the first time you've told me this.
You just install the app. It's very easy.
I've been doing this for how many weeks now? And this is the first time you told me.
I know, but I guess it kind of kills the whole thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't have to email it to you if that was the case.
Yeah, and we have some channel announcements in the announcements section.
Okay.
So here we are, how to make an album. If you're new or if you just came across this, we do a full episode. And I put a card in the beginning of these so you can just go over to the full episode. We do a lot of different stuff, but this is a broad overview on how to make an album, right?
Yes, very broad.
And, I throw these keynotes together right before the show. You put them together on your phone and then send them to me. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, this week was a little half-assed.
It was not half-assed.
Well, leave a comment. You tell me if the keynote could have been better on this one.
It left room for discussion.
Left room for discussion. Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of this is very subjective.
No, it's not.
It is. It depends on what kind of music you're doing. It depends on what equipment you have. And it depends on what your circumstances are. So yeah, it's fairly subjective.
The process of making an album no matter what equipment or circumstances used, is always the same.
Right. And I cover that.
You do.
But it's a little sparse on the details because it's so subjective.
Right.
Okay?
Also,
So no, this is not half-assed. This is me anticipating you going off on a mansplaining rant.
fair enough. Also, next week, we're going to talk to Bob Olson, who was a staff engineer at Motown.
Yes.
So make sure you hit subscribe for that if you're watching this from the clip. All right,
Okay.
So how do we make an album?
How do we make an album? Okay.
Please explain to me how to make an album.
Okay, so how fans see the process. Let's fix this so I can actually see this. There we go.
You know, the cats just totally had like an epic brawl in here, and I just ignored it. Studio Cat lost.
'cause
Regal
it's-
Cat's sitting right there. We totally are putting a cat cam up next week.
It's 9:40. Of course, it's epic brawl time.
Hey! Get your claws out of that. Hey! I'm gonna start flinging download cards at you. Knock it off. There we go.
Okay, so how fans see the album making process. Number 1, band stops touring to write and record. Number 2, a long time passes.
How long?
It really depends.
Okay.
It just seems like a freaking long time sometimes. Because some bands will be off the road for like 2 years trying to put an album together. Unless, you're Axl Rose, in which case it's more like 10.
Hey, all the weight I lost found him.
Oh, I think it found him before you lost it.
Yeah, we kind of ballooned up together, didn't we?
A little bit.
All right.
And the number 3, the album is released. Like magic.
It is kind of a magical process.
It's kind of magical when you're not in the middle of it.
It's true. And what was the longest you ever waited for an album to come out in this before you knew this? No dead air.
4 years?
4 years you waited. So
Uh-huh.
an album was announced. You were aware of the announcement. You got excited for the announcement.
Mm-hmm.
And then you waited 4 years for the album to come out.
Yep.
Was it any good?
Yes.
What was it?
It was Weezer.
Yeah, all right. So that's not really how it works, though.
No, that's not how it works.
It's not magic. It's a whole series of steps.
Yes, but that's just how the fans see it, because they're not privy to the whole long, involved process of it.
Well, that's what's great about what we do, right? Because we document basically everything.
Yes.
It's pretty obvious what the process is when you look at our result.
Kind of, sort of. I mean, we don't have a camera up here with me recording you doing Freeform Fridays.
We don't have a camera pointed at the camera guy either.
So, I mean, we're not
Steven,
completely documenting.
Greg.
We're not completely documenting everything, but...
Yeah, but we're going to do more videos about it, right?
Yeah.
That's part of what's going to come up in the announcements. All right.
Yeah, I was going to say, nobody actually wants to see us behind the scenes doing the stuff because, Steven's running around with like a chicken with his head cut off trying to make sure the cameras are all operating. And...
No, that's me. No, Steven doesn't operate that way.
Oh,
that's
really?
the way I operate.
Okay.
Steven checks between takes.
Okay. And then I'm up here, half the time I'm standing watching the tape counter.
Yeah.
And the other half I'm sitting and, actively trying not to flip you off. among other things.
When Paul's here, we're going to need the keyboard stand anyway, so we're going to have to move that machine to a lower point.
Okay, well, we have a table.
Which, hashtag TaskCam688.
Yes. Hashtag TaskCam688.
It's the last great cassette multitrack. And
I
Studio
understand
Cat's
why.
back. Studio Cat is back. We really need to start videotaping these cats in here. There's this epic, it's like a episode of Game of Thrones in here. There's epic power struggles going on.
And it's only 2 cats. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Bye, Studio Cat.
How fans see the process.
Yeah, so how does it actually happen?
How it actually happens. Not quite so simple, I'm afraid. Step 1. Songs are written.
That's not true. It's not true.
I'm starting with the point at which they start writing the songs.
I'm starting at the point at which they sign the contract to write the songs.
Not everybody signs a contract. If they're an independent artist, they don't sign a contract.
Fair enough, but I don't see anything about a contract either before or after songs are written. You're not going to be recording any time before that contract is signed.
But that's only if you're with a label. If you're not with a label, you never had a contract for any of the stuff you've done on your own.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not talking about the whole getting a contract part. I'm talking about recording the album.
Fair enough.
So.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Though the reason the contract's important is because that's when the band announces. They sign a contract and then they go public and they say, yes, we signed this contract to make this album, which is where the process begins for you.
No, not always. Some people sign the contract and then the album never gets made.
That's very true. That's called shelving.
Yes.
And, for example, on Get Off My Lawn, I have the right to shelve anything, right?
Sure.
I try not to. Right? I've lost some things due to technical limitations and things, but I try to just put it all out.
Right.
But, yeah, no, I've totally... Get Off My Lawn started with a band, which we're not going to name because we don't need to. But
I don't even remember their name, to be honest with you.
I do.
Well, good for you.
And they were so miserable to work with.
Yeah.
And it was just like, all right, I'm not working on this album anymore. End of story. No, you cannot have your audio.
Nope. Check your contract. You don't own your audio.
Right. No, I will not sell you my audio for like $300. You know, like
300. Is that what they offered?
I think that's what they offered me was $300.
Wow. Yeah. No.
No. No. The way it works with Get Off My Lawn is they own the song. It's theirs. They're not allowed to re-record it for 5 years. Give me 5 years to try to sell copies of it, right? And then that's it, right? So then if they're unhappy with our deal, which we totally have a video on this channel called Sustainable Music. We talk about what the contract is public. If they're unhappy with that contract, after 5 years, they can make the exact same album in a different studio, you know, on their own dime or on a different label's dime, and there's not a thing I can do about it. I want to give them as much freedom with their material as I possibly can.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm talking in terms of anything that you've heard of. The problem is that with the exception of some large YouTubers, hi Studio Cat, just about everything you can name in terms of the history of recorded music was attached to a music label at some point.
Sure.
Very little.
We're not starting with how to be famous. We're starting with how do you make the album.
It's true.
Okay.
But you should, even if you're writing them yourself, if you're working with others, you should have a contract in place.
Yes.
All
always.
Right. So the songs get written.
The songs get written.
And then it's recorded.
Yes.
Is that entirely true?
Sometimes the songs are being written while it's being recorded.
Okay, yes.
Sometimes the songs are fully orchestrated before it gets recorded.
Yes.
Sometimes they're half written.
Sometimes they're rewritten.
Sometimes they're rewritten. You know, there's
Paul Simon said that the song it's not in the writing of the song, it's in the rewriting of the song. Yeah, these cats are everywhere this week. We really need a cat cam.
Yes.
Do I have another camera I can throw?
We need to not have you being distracted by the cats.
Yeah,
too.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, the writing process varies from artist to artist, basically. Right. And sometimes the artist doesn't even write the songs. Sometimes somebody else writes the songs, and the artist goes in and listens to demos and go, oh, I want to do this one. And then they record that one.
Yeah, that's that's especially in the modern pop music realm. That's extremely common.
Yes.
And what happens is that ultimately the reason you get so many, there's a lot of criticism about how many songwriters it takes to write "Ooh Baby Baby," right? But the way the business works is they're all just sharing publishing, so they have to be listed as co-writers. One guy in the room came up with "Ooh Baby Baby." They all went, "Oh yeah, okay, that works," and now they're all songwriters.
Right.
So, all right. So the recording process.
Now,
Please describe the recording process.
Again, this varies from artist to artist and producer. And yeah, it can be as simple as a guy in a bedroom over a weekend, or it can be as complex as 6 months in a fancy schmancy recording studio that you're paying ridiculous amounts of money per day for.
Thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here watching my levels. I'm a little quiet this week. I'll have to boost it in post. What? No? Okay. Really, we are setting up a cat cam.
It's that time of night.
Yeah, that's true. So the recording, ultimately they're capturing the sound. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. We'll do some video at some point covering the different ways of doing it. Next week when we talk to Bob Olson's, for example, there's a lot of talk about punch-in. And friend of the show, Jared, he was like, what is punch-in? So just to quickly describe it, punching in is when you're playing a pre-recorded thing over a tape. You start recording while it plays. So then you play the thing that you're trying to fix, and then you stop recording and it goes back to the thing that was playing before. That's a punch-in.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't always have to go. It could just stop, right?
Right.
But it's when you start playing, then you hit the record button. So you're listening to yourself, and now you're putting in this phrase.
Yes.
And so that's what punching in is. That is almost a lost art at this point. People don't punch in anymore. I remember doing a lot of. I did a album in college where it was a girl with a backing track, and I forget her name. She was a friend of Tim's.
Okay, I don't remember this one, but okay.
Yeah, it was an afternoon.
Oh, okay.
And basically, we just punched it in. We just made it phrase by phrase, and there we go. And she was looking at me like, "Can't we just record this a bunch of times and then you edit it?" And I'm like, "This is faster. Punching in is faster than trying to comp the edits."
Sure.
But you got to start somewhere. All right. So recording is when we capture everything, right?
Yes.
Now I believe what you're describing is we capture a multi-track.
In most cases, yes. It can be. I guess it could be a single track, but most records nowadays are multi-track, aren't they?
Most everything's produced well, let's move on to 3.
Yeah.
And the reason I point this out is because mixing is really only a thing with multi-track.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to mix a stereo recording. That's mastering. Mixing is the process of taking the individual recordings of each microphone, blending them together into a single stereo track, and mastering is then the process of bringing that level up to where it's generally as loud as other things and generally as bright as other things, and maybe a little less so because the loudness war has made things nuts, but...
And then transferring it to the master.
Right, transferring it to the master and preparing it for mass production.
Yes.
So, did I leave anything out on mixing?
No.
We're going to do a mix tutorial. We're actually going to do 2 mix tutorials.
Yes, because mixing is very complicated and really depends on the genre of music.
No, it does not.
To a degree, it does.
It does not.
You're not going to mix electronic music the same way you mix folk music.
You absolutely mix electronic music.
You would.
You mix folk music.
You would. I'm just saying.
You take the individual elements and you blend them to taste.
Yeah, you blend them to taste, but you're not using necessarily like the same compressors or the same limiters or the same equipment during the process.
You can totally use the same equipment on either of them.
I'm just saying, you're not necessarily doing it the exact same way for those two genres of music.
By that standard, you're not necessarily doing it the exact same way for two different songs on the same album. It's a very individual process.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Which is full of overcomplications.
Yes. And that's why Dawn's going to be doing multiple mixed tutorials.
I'm doing two. I'm doing exactly two. I'm doing
more than one. It's two.
I'm doing an analog mix tutorial, and I'm doing a digital mix tutorial.
Okay.
And so if you think about it, we're going to cover the difference between how those work.
Yes.
The workflows are very, very different.
Yes.
And one is going to be way longer than the other. All right, so mastering is when you mix in a room. So imagine this room doesn't sound good. And you mix in your room, let's say your bedroom. Mastering is when you then send it to a guy who has the ability to listen to it in such a way where he will understand what it will sound like on every system in the world.
Yes.
That's what mastering is you're going, okay, because it might be played through a mono television over, UHF or something. It might be played over vinyl in a very high fidelity situation. It might be played over an MP3 while somebody's jogging. Cars are going to sound different. Clock radios sound different.
Yep.
iPhone speakers, very common listening. It's good to do an iPhone check. But mastering has become the last refuge for the audio professional,
Yes.
I think. And I'm not sure. I think part of it is just because from a budgetary standpoint, it's arguably the least expensive because it's the least time intensive. It doesn't take that long. I didn't ask Bob on next week's show, but in a previous conversation he had told me he estimates an album to take about 2 days. And I've said it on the podcast before. It took me about a day to do an album.
Right.
I like Bob's take on it. If I ever take on commercial projects, I'll go back. I'll actually do a 2-day process. But mastering is very, very quick. Like Eric Serafin talks about, he's like, it's just a little EQ here and there, a little compressor. Why are you paying all this money for it? The real work's done in the mix. But mastering is also arguably the technical side of it. You got to do your PQ edits. You got to do your CD text. All that stuff's done in mastering. What am I forgetting? You send me a thing. It's just 4 things. Now you're letting me mansplain. So let's look at 5. Unless you have thoughts on 3 and 4.
No, I figured you'd cover those just fine. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but that's your board.
That is my board.
I got a lovely picture of your board.
You came in here and took that one yourself?
Uh-huh. That was all me.
Did you use the T5 or did you use your iPhone?
iPhone.
Try the T5. The T5's a lot of fun.
I was putting this together on my iPhone, so I took it from my iPhone just to make it easier for me.
Hey, fair enough. All right.
All right.
So number 5 is pressing, duplication, replication.
Yes.
I'm going to let you try to explain it, and then I'll jump in if it's...
Okay. So replication usually applies to optical media like CDs and DVDs where you're not burning the disc, where you're actually starting with a glass master and making a nickel stamper from it and then making the CDs or the DVDs from that. That's replication. Duplication is burning.
Yes.
Basically.
Duplication is burning a disc.
Yes.
Yep. And
then pressing applies more to vinyl.
Pressing is vinyl.
Yes.
Duplication also can refer to analog cassettes.
Yes.
Because you duplicate cassettes.
Right.
Replication, you're about right. It's because you do the stamp into the silicon disc. So you use a glass master to make the stamper.
Mm-hmm.
You stamp it into the silicon disc, and then you spray a reflective coating over that. So when there's I believe it's a 1, it will, or no, I'm sorry, the 1 is when it has an indentation in the groove, and that will disperse the laser when it hits it. And 0s are flat. So the duplication just etches a reflective surface.
Right.
And so it performs the same function. The laser doesn't get a clean laser back that it's expecting, so it understands that it's 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens 44,000 times per second.
Yes.
And that's pretty wild. Yeah, those are large. Those tend to be large facilities. That's an interesting note. There's a studio that I'm now totally envious of.
No.
If somebody calls me and goes, "Hey, I want to record with you," I'm going to tell them, "Go call Welcome to 1979." It's a studio out in Nashville. They do analog recording.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lathe on site.
Nice.
On site, and they have an on-site plating and a stamp, and I believe that they have the press in there too, so they can record to tape, make the acetate, make the stamper, press the vinyl right there. What they're doing is they also do direct to disc.
Okay.
Which sounds like this sounds right up my alley, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Direct-to-disc recording is when they skip recording to tape and they run a needle over an acetate to make a vinyl stamper from right there.
Wow.
That's how records used to get made. We talk about it with the Bob Olson interview.
Yeah.
That's coming up next week. So marketing. You get the word out.
You get the word out.
You get the word out.
If you've got lots and lots of money, you take out magazine ads and billboards. If you don't, you hit up everybody you know on every social media site ever.
And then nobody shares it. And it drives you crazy. Please, if you see something that's, especially the projects, especially the Jazz Destroyers, tell a friend about the Jazz Destroyers. Tell a friend about this. We're all doing our best. This is really...
If you come across one of the tunes that you really dig because it's got a good groove and you really like it, share it.
Share it. You want to use it in the background of your video? Let me know, and no hate speech. That's my only 2 things. Just let me know you're doing it and no hate speech. And then finally, distribution and release. You know, marketing and distribution and release kind of happen about the same time.
Yeah, that's why it's all kind of on the same slide.
Distribution is when you take the thousands upon thousands of copies you made and you distribute them out to the individual stores. The problem is there are no more stores. I mean, there are,
well, there's
but
stores, but also, distribution can be
making it available on iTunes.
Yeah, iTunes or Bandcamp or wherever else. I don't even know anymore. There's so many.
Right. And release is the day you make it all available for sale.
Yes.
So, yep. Yeah, that's pretty much how you make a record. We're oversimplifying. There's a whole step in the process of writing the material, between writing the material and recording, where the A&R gets involved. Because a band doesn't...
That's assuming there's a label. That's assuming you're not an independent artist releasing it yourself.
Well, even as an independent artist, most artists aren't going to record 10 songs and release 10 songs. They're going to record like 15 songs and release 10.
Sure.
So
in that case, they're acting as their own A&R, but that's part of the recording process. That's part of the...
Well, and they're acting as their own A&R by selecting the songs that they'll play.
Sure.
Yep. Cool. All right. What's next? Section 3?
Section 3.
So
the interview.
This is our interview with Teton. Our keynote. So Teton, I got hip to them through their YouTube channel, which I am always down to find a new YouTube channel. If you have an interesting channel, tell me about it in the comments. We'll check it out, right? and I don't really subscribe to things on Get Off My Lawn Records because I want that subscriptions thing to really only be things that are related to us.
Okay.
People that helped us out, right? People who've been on the podcast, artists on the label. That's what our subscriptions. That's why our subscriptions are public. But I do have a private one, and I do go check it out. So let me know. So with Teton, I got hip through the YouTube channel, and I was just like, these guys are doing really interesting work.
Yeah.
They're taking a unique approach to the marketing, clearly. And I had to talk to them. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I never formally started the interview. I just went into it.
Please tell me something was recording.
Yes. Audio was recording.
Okay.
And the Skype call was recording, but I only have Skype set up to record the other side. So as a backup, now I'm going to start recording my side as well. I just forgot to flip on the camcorder.
Okay.
And maybe the audio recorder. But either way, I'm going to edit it in right here. All right, so you're Ben Parker with Teton Guitars, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was cruising YouTube as I often do because of doing podcast stuff. I came across what you guys do. I saw that big it's like a small jumbo.
Okay, yeah, the range guitar.
That sounds right. God, yes. That thing sounded good.
Oh yeah, those are fantastic. Just so we named them the body shape. We call it a range guitar. Obviously, we're out in the West and we have ranges, so we know it, or mountain range. I don't know where it came from. That's what we call it. But we took our jumbo body,
okay,
which is a little unique for us, anyways. We have some different specs and stuff on our jumbo.
Okay,
we took that body shape and just minied it and made it a 3/4 size guitar, and we put an arched back on it.
That helps.
Traction.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they sound awesome. All solid tops on all. We have 3 models now of them. So we have a solid Sitka spruce top, solid African mahogany top, solid Western red cedar top.
Wow.
So
I have like 3 acoustic guitars. And I'm the kind of guy I just go, yep, those are my guitars, and that's what those sound like. There's a big sound difference, though, when you change the tops on those things.
Oh, yeah. Cedar, you get a really nice kind of mellow, a little darker tone.
Okay.
What's nice about cedar is it projects a little bit more right when you play it, especially soft players, finger-style players, soft pickers. They really like cedar because it projects just a little bit more
right
when you're playing. But it has a ceiling, so it's kind of got to be. You can't just run out there and just strum the heck out of those things.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
And so spruce is kind of the opposite.
Okay.
It has a lot of headroom. Just big open chords sound great on it. Just loud. Really well balanced. And mahogany's just a nice balance too. It's a different tone than spruces, but an overall just really nice, kind of smooth tone. Just kind of, I don't know. It almost seems to me like mahogany just is kind of like the flat EQ of tone woods.
Sure.
Like it's not really pushing anything in your face. Mahogany's some of my favorite tone woods.
Yeah, to use the old cliche word, transparent, right? You feel like you're just really hearing it. Now, I was telling Jeremy, who I was emailing with to set this up, what I really want to see Teton do is more arch top. Because you do the 2 colors, right? It's a single model, but it's 2 different colors, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And are those doing all right? I mean, maybe the market's kind of soft for that, but that's what I play. I play an arch top.
Yeah, we both of those are. We have some stuff we need to change on them to make them a little more Teton-y,
Sure.
And fit in a little more to our marketing and our branding.
Sure.
So I have some samples that I've received that are prototypes.
Okay.
They weren't quite what I wanted them to be. So We're out of stock of those. I mean, they sold well. We
Good.
did with them. I
That
don't.
warms my heart because I don't know how many other guys are out there playing arch tops.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. There's some guys out there. They we had a spalted maple solid body electric that was our best seller in the electric line, and then those arch tops were those two colors were the next two that sold out.
Very cool. Yeah.
So we're just reviewing some stuff with it to try and update it a little bit.
I have a request.
Okay.
I want to see something along the lines of like a Super 400 or a Birdland with a great big body, just a single pickup in the neck,
Uh,
and don't go crazy on the trimmings. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But the sound of those great big, like an L5, like Gibson is the king of these, right? Like, and I don't play a Gibson because, well, I'm a working musician. I can't afford one.
Yeah.
But I play a Canadian company, and they're nice, but I find the body is very small.
Okay.
And I've tried a couple of Ibanez's, and I didn't love those either. But I'm I'm always looking for what I call the working man's guitar.
Mm.
You know, with the archtop stuff, the companies, they all seem to get really, really into like bindings and all these very, very fancy things. But you guys do a whole line, I noticed, because you'll do the really kind of glitzy acoustics. But there's a lot of just good, solid acoustic guitars in that catalog.
Yeah. Well, that keeps the price down too.
Right, because it's so labor intensive.
Yeah. Anytime our factory does a lot of hand touching, hands on. Um, that brings the price up quick when you're putting in, tiny abalone pieces,
Right.
in a circle around the rosette, or even where you're trying to put them into some inlays on the fingerboard and stuff. It's just that's what brings the price up.
That makes sense. Yeah, because granted, you have your cost of wood and that part of it, but yeah, it's all the additional hours that go into it. But yeah, I just want to see an archtop with a floater and a great big body, and that would be a really interesting instrument. Though I don't know, jazz always feels specific, at least when you're trying to sell records. But there's a lot of guitar players
Yeah.
now. So do you, how? So you're the marketing guy, and you do some of the design. I get it. I
Yes.
take it. That makes sense. That's very cool. And how hands on are you with the whole YouTube channel? Because you guys are doing great.
Um, Jeremy, who you spoke with,
Yeah.
he's kind of the one who's really run with that.
Okay.
So we set up a studio space, got some equipment that worked with our budget, and he just kind of took over with that. And Jen, who does our social media,
Yeah.
she hangs out in the studio and they work on stuff, and they're the ones who bring the artists in and get the artist videos produced. Really, I show up like once or twice a month and just kind of interrupt them, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're here, come talk," and so I'll
Ah.
put up
Okay.
talk. So no, they've done an awesome job with the
Yeah.
with
They look great. Because I do a lot of video, like the podcast. Obviously, this is not my primary product, right? So these I do quick and dirty, but like I do full-fledged video production as well, like you guys are, and you're doing it right. The lighting looks really good, the sound's on point. So please send my regards.
oh yeah, I'll let them know. They'll be glad to hear that feedback.
Yeah, it's a better looking channel than mine, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
so how long have you been with the company then?
Um, I've been here almost 9 years.
9 years.
Mhm.
That's right. And Teton's made by a parent company out of it, right?
Yeah. So we're owned by Chesbro Music Company.
Chesbro Music. What else do they handle?
They're a wholesale distributor.
Okay.
That's their main business model. So they distribute accessories and print music, really throughout the West because we're located in Idaho.
Gotcha.
So, we work with music stores all over the country, but the majority of them are in the West.
That makes sense. So before this, I called around. That's kind of how I found out about all that, right? I started calling around. I looked up on the website. There's not a single distributor in Austin.
Oh, really?
I can't. I have to drive 100 miles to go lay my hands on a Teton. So I pinged.
Yeah, yeah,
I pinged the
that's
local retailer. Said, "Hey, why aren't you doing this?"
that's what we need.
Yeah, that's
People bugging them, and you know that's happening more and more. We had so NAM just got done last week. I was at NAM show.
right.
Um, or was it last week? Two weeks ago, I guess. Um, and we had people coming to the booth that we hadn't met before who were like, "Dude, our people are coming in and asking for Teton guitars." So
Right.
we had to stop by and see what was going on with this, which is cool. That's what you want when you're a marketing manager.
That's the easiest sale in the world to make.
Yeah,
You're an order taker at that point.
yeah, it's great.
Those are the best. Yeah, and that means that your whole team, all the way from manufacturing through the online marketing, is getting word out in an appropriate way. That's awesome. Yeah. So what I what I saw on the website that blew my mind was the little solid body ukulele,
Okay.
and I was like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
But so in the prep for the show, I called around and I talked to a guy in San Antonio who did not understand what the heck I was at, why I was calling and asking him all these questions about Teton and all that. But then he directed me up to Chesbro, so I called and I talked to Don, and I'm Don, so he was telling me, are you guys kind of moving away from the ukulele?
Not the solid body ones, yes.
Really?
Not the traditional ukuleles. The problem with the solid bodies is they used the pickup system in it is kind of dated.
Gotcha.
So when they first came out, it was pretty cool. There was a MP3 input jack and a headphone output jack, so you could practice while you're sitting at your house. Not bug anyone.
But it's a piezo to an output, and it's got that sound.
Yeah, so it still had a 1/4 inch out to plug in to go direct into an amp or whatever. The problem is, you can see this with the latest iPhone, is headphones aren't always being plugged in anymore. And MP3 players, for a few years now, aren't plugged into stuff. You just Bluetooth it to whatever you want.
And that's super complex and that's a much bigger project to take on.
So, but I don't know if people really liked the idea of having that as a practice opportunity. I don't know how much is being used though. So
that's true. People buy instruments and then don't play them. That's very true. But the ukuleles look gorgeous.
Yeah, our ukulele manufacturer does a fantastic job. We've worked with them for a lot of years, actually, even before Teton guitars.
Right.
When we did other projects, we've worked with them. So really happy with what they're doing. And the ukulele market is just a fantastic market. I mean, ukulele people are wonderful, just genuine people. And so it's a market we want to be much more involved in, just because I play ukulele myself, so
okay.
I enjoy ukulele players. So this year I'm going to work on some new products to kind of fill in some gaps.
Okay.
That we have in that line, and hopefully. The ukulele market was crazy, it was kind of at a trajectory like this.
Right.
Kind of seen it do this. But what happens when you do this is you create this pool of people who love the instrument.
Right.
So now that pool, all the people who hop on bandwagons, they're like, oh, we're off, But you still have all these people who are buying their 3rd and 4th and 10th ukuleles.
And how many people go to do that, especially in that initial wave? How many people then decide to go do their second ukulele? And
out of the who get their first ukulele to their second ukulele?
Yeah, it's a big number, because a lot of those really entry level instruments are just awful.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean and guitars, you know,
Yeah, they range.
your $99 guitar, how many you'll sell,
Yeah.
like the Fender, they have a like a $99 guitar that they
Yeah,
probably sell
that's I think it's the
50,000 of a
Affinity
year.
Squires. Yep.
Yeah, and out of those 50,000 that they sell, you maybe have uh, 15, 20,000 of people going onto their necks. That's
Right.
probably a really high number, even 10,000. I don't know.
Right.
You're
It's why
probably,
when you go through pawn shops in Austin, there is a whole lot of that stuff on the wall.
oh yeah,
And
because
that,
it's
yeah.
throwaway. So
And you guys seem like like even though even though you manufacture overseas, it seems like there's a much bigger dedication to quality at an affordable price, but not at a bargain basement.
yeah, no, we never with Teton guitars. The philosophy was players, like working musicians like yourself.
Right.
That's our target. So you guys, you don't want Starcasters.
No.
You don't want. I mean, uh, Squire makes some cool guitars,
They do.
but working musicians aren't going to necessarily take that. They're not going to go look at a Squire first. They're going to go look at something that's nice, that's going to be sound good, be a tank. Get through the gigs,
Right.
stuff like that. So that's what we did with Teton. We wanted to make something that people could afford for starters, but just sound fantastic,
Right.
giggable. Like we have Lauren, one of our artists. That guy's Teton has probably been across the country, I don't know, 7 or 8 times on tours,
That's cool.
and
Yep.
he plays it every night. So
And that's
it's holding up. He still has his original Teton that he bought, I don't know, like 5 years ago or something. So
yeah. I saw that. You have a nice the artists on there. That's a pretty good lineup you guys have going. That's a
yeah, we're
they're
really lucky to have all those guys who love our guitars and our artists. We don't go out of our way to sign someone up as an artist.
right.
Our philosophy is um, people who love Tetons, when they find the guitars, they're gonna they're gonna come approach us, and then we kind of start a process there, to move them from just our friends of Teton to an artist, Teton artist.
Gotcha.
We don't do a lot of recruiting because I mean it's hard. Guys like their guitars,
Yes.
so we have given a few artists guitars and they never touch them. So
That's a that's the tough part. You're almost better off just like you said. You wait.
yeah,
You have enough, especially at this point. You have enough quality musicians on there out there demonstrating the instrument. It's creating that. What is it with music? It's the thousand true fan theory, right? And it's 1,000 people it takes to make anything go viral.
uh-huh.
So for some reason it's the thousand. But so if they're gonna go out there and make 1,000 impressions in person a year, yeah, no wonder you get stores going, I had to come see. Everybody's asking. That makes sense. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Are you what else is on the horizon? Are you guys gonna do a bass at some point?
Um,
I
so
don't know
we
what
have,
the acoustic bass world looks like these
we
days.
have an acoustic bass.
Do you?
We took our jumbo body and did a shorter scale length on it.
Okay.
Um, and it's got the spruce top with the flame maple back and sides.
Okay.
Does pretty well for us. It sounds good. Like, of course, it has electronics. So you really want to just get it thumpy. But just if you're playing it acoustically with a group of guys, it's bassy.
It'll
So
hold it'll hold its own.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. The other thing I think that Teton has going for it, at least at this point, right, where you're still proving the quality and all these things, is there's a weird thing with Squire and Epiphone. At least I feel it. Maybe the audience doesn't feel this way. I'm looking forward to the comments. But I actually I don't put anything with the word Squire on screen if I can help it. I don't put them on stage if I can help it. because there's always, like you said, they sell 50,000 guitars, and they all wind up in the trash, or they all wind up on pawn shop walls and stuff, and they've developed a brand around cheap, where you guys are just simply obscure. So the fact that you're inexpensive is actually a bonus.
Yeah, yeah, that's one nice thing about trying to build brand recognition is um, we don't have really a reputation, so
Right.
we get to work on dictating what that is for a little while, until it kind of takes off and becomes its own thing.
Well,
We
and
tell
you guys
the
just sold your 20,000th instrument, I think I saw.
uh,
Yeah, you're already getting there. That's pretty
so
awesome.
yeah, I'd like to sell another 20,000 this year, but I don't have that many on order projected for the year. So
You don't? No. That part's tough. Though I don't know. To me, it's one of those things where I've actually seen quite a few manufacturers come and go.
mm-hmm.
But you guys are doing it right by doing. I really love this dealer network you have going, where basically you're not going to go into Guitar Center and play one, and you're not going to go in. I don't think Sam Ash is a dealer either. Like
They're not.
you're not going to go into one of the big box stores. These are all small independent dealers, and the best part of that is if you're interested in checking it out, you're actually making a special trip. You're going to go meet a new guy, go to a new store. It's probably a little bit of a road trip for you. All these fun things, and then you also get to go check out this guitar you've been hearing so much about. Where there's a company I have a couple of instruments from called J.R. Beck. And I don't know that you would have ever come across them much up in Idaho. They were around about 10 years ago, and their whole model was, we'll just sell directly online.
Oh.
And that's what terrifies me about what Fender's trying to do, because nobody buys guitars online, sight unseen, unless they are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Like, that's where, like, Agile and those companies are sitting. But you guys you're sitting in this, no, we're actually good. We're good quality control and things.
Yeah. Well, and we have to be there with the prices that we're at. I mean, we're asking people to make a little investment.
Right.
Especially like with our armrest series, which, are up over $600 for the armrest series.
Right. Which is that threshold over 500 is about where you get into, like, where a working musician is usually spending on an instrument at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people have to play the guitars.
Yep.
Like, you have to make that connection. So online really hard, and guitar centers are really hard too.
Yeah, and I don't know that you actually want to go for them, because good luck getting paid, and the market's changing so fast. They might fall apart. They might do a Radio Shack, you know what I mean, and kind of sink under their own weight. But you guys you're agile and nimble, and you can make adjustments to the market. The thing I saw that I loved, and I know some of the bigger guys are doing it, maybe we can eventually get you guys to this point, but I remember Gibson drove a bus and parked it in front of the local music store for a day.
Yeah.
And you could go put your hands on instruments you couldn't possibly afford.
Yeah.
And things like NAMM are great because you're making that contact, but I wonder, like, are you guys going to come do South by? That'd probably be a good opportunity.
We've talked about that. Just it's never been something that's gone past discussion.
Right.
But yeah, we've looked at it a couple times. But we do need to do things like that.
Yeah.
Last year I was able to get out and do a little bit, not and just real kind of local. We called it. What did we call last year when I went out and visited the stores? Was it Teton TV Live? Do you remember?
Teton TV Live is a pretty good one. If you didn't use that, use that. That's pretty good.
So I think that's kind of what we called it. But I went out and I did education and stuff.
Right. Now the sun's setting, so I'm just getting dark. So pardon me.
Yeah.
Which is going to be hilarious on camera. All of a sudden, I'm a Sith Lord. That's really cool. And so the one thing that Don had told me to ask you about, he kind of told me the story, but he said you tell it better. Is so this factory that you're doing these in, it's a family,
Mhm.
and he was telling me that like, who was it? It was the grandmother, or somebody is works under one of the children, but then she's the boss. And I don't remember how the story went.
Okay. Like how we met the factory, or
Yeah, how did that go down? How do you meet this factory overseas?
well, as we had been in the market for someone to do manufacturing for a while.
Okay.
Actually, been meeting with Spanish builders looking at classical guitars from Spain. Um, and it just we hadn't found anyone that we really connected with. Um, the vibe wasn't quite right.
Right.
So at NAMM show, you hang out, and especially when you have guitars on display, people always come up to you and hand you a business card and say, "I can build that for cheaper," like all the time.
That's the whole thing. It's just people saying I can do that cheaper.
You get it all the time.
That sounds kind of wonderful.
Yeah, well, not always, because cheaper isn't always better.
Right. Especially well, I manufacture CDs. It's kind of
Yeah.
though we're sticking to American production. That's our whole
Yeah.
model.
Um, but so the factory owner's daughter
Okay.
came up and she said, "My dad makes guitars, and I would love for you to just come play one."
Okay.
And no one ever approached us like that. So I said, "You know what? What booth are you at? I'm going to come play one here in about a half hour when I'm done with the meeting." She's like, "Oh," she told me where I was at and just was excited. And I went down there. I took another guy from the company and we played on it. And it's loud at the NAMM show, so it's hard to ever hear anything.
Right.
But just, you could feel it when you're playing on it, up against your body. You could feel
the
I'm
resonance
like,
of the whole
"This is
thing.
a great guitar."
Yeah.
So we got her contact information and got back and worked on some specs for our original 4 models, which were all classical because we were kind of in the Spanish building mode at that point.
Right. That was your expertise at the moment. Yeah.
And and what was nice is that's all they built at the time. They had taken the Spanish technique and reproduced it in China, where they were like wrapping stuff with rope and letting the glue dry while it was wrapped with rope. I don't know. They were just doing that process.
They were doing a traditional process.
Yeah.
I wonder how a family in China figures out how to do that. That's an interesting concept.
I don't know, training wise, where they
Yeah.
came from, but they were a really small little factory. When we placed our first order, we placed 250 guitars,
Okay.
and the daughter calls me and is like, "Ben, we can't make that this month. There's no way we can make that many guitars."
Right.
And I'm like, "Take your time. If
Yeah.
it takes 2 months, you just do what you do, and we're totally fine with that." Which, another just breath of fresh air, because usually I place an order and the factory's like, "You're not meeting your quotas. You're not meeting your,
Right.
we want 10,000 units this month."
And you're like, I can't actually sell, like it, because what I do with the pod, I'm just constantly trying to sell records. It's hard to sell stuff. The close is the hardest part. And you guys are lucky as a well, I guess the hardest part for you guys is getting a store to place an order. What do you if somebody wanted to become a dealer, what's your recommended minimum order? I'd imagine 5 or 6.
I try to at least go 6.
Yeah.
2 reasons. You get some variety in the 6.
Okay.
Plus, we have boxes that ship 6 guitars, and it's easy to pack them. So
You can ship 6 guitars in one box?
Mhm.
God, that'd be hard. I'm just wrapping my head around that because I've gotten guitars shipped to me, and those boxes are big. Getting 6 of those, I guess that comes by freight though. It'd come on a pallet.
Now we can usually do UPS with it.
Oh, you can still do UPS. All right.
But yeah, but it's a big box. But I
Yeah.
mean, they're acoustic, so they're lighter weight, so
Oh, that's
it's
true.
totally doable.
Yeah.
You guys can pick it up.
I I saw so the sprouted maple is the one. It's like a flame top, right? The solid body. Because admittedly, I've been gawking at super strats lately,
Yeah,
and I saw you guys in the solid body line. It seems to lean more that way than the traditional, the '60s style guitars that a lot of builders do,
yeah,
which I appreciated. That was a breath of fresh air to me.
yeah. That flame maple top one is the TR. I think.
That sounds right, and
We're
it's
talking
fancy.
TR, like the TR20 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just kind of it has an arch top on it and stuff, so
Yep.
it's a
Yeah.
little rock and roll. But yeah, those were cool.
Yeah, that's wild. Is there any product that, because what did you guys announce at NAMM? I saw you guys had some stuff going, but what were you announcing at NAMM?
We had a new range guitar, so the one with the
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
that, and then we had 5 new armrest guitars.
Okay.
So we did a 12-string armrest, a classical armrest, a lefty armrest, all in the 150 series, and then we had 2 armrests that were in the 105 series, which is a lower price point.
Okay.
So we're able to bring that. The armrest will be under $500 street price.
That's gonna be amazing.
So we had all of those.
That's very cool. And then what I'll do with this video, obviously I'll leave a link in the description to your website, tetonguitarist.com.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd help. And then also I'll put a card somewhere for the video, because you guys have that. It's a great YouTube channel. And who's the one who does the playing on all those? I see like the same guy. Or maybe I'm hallucinating.
So I play a little bit. It's usually Mark. Mark plays a lot.
I think that's who I was seeing.
If the arms are like this big,
Yeah.
He plays a lot. Jeremy plays some on it.
All right.
I play some. Then we'll get artists in and stuff to play.
Yeah. Hey, if I make it up to Idaho, which I don't know how to do yet, but I have some ties to Idaho through a film I made. But if I make it up to Idaho, I'm gonna demand that I sit down and play one of these.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
you hang out.
And I'll totally be like, throw a camera on me. I'll do whatever you want. You know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We'll work it out. But I hope you guys are really. I hope it's really. I really love the business model. I love the small distributors, because I think that's where music's gonna have to go back to. Like the guy I talked to, Bill. Oh, what was his name down in San Antonio? But he's a school, and he sells his students the instruments that they need to play. Perfect. How do I get? I would love to see Tetons in those sorts of situations, because those teachers know how to evaluate an instrument. They know it's a good quality instrument. They're gonna tweak it a little bit. They'll make it absolutely perfect, and then they'll put it in a kid's hand, and that'll be it. And then what'll happen is that by the time they're my age, the first runs will be very sought after, and it'll drive everybody crazy.
Well, and two, I don't know how many guitars you own, but think those kids who have a good instrument, who have a good teacher,
right?
They're going to have, by they're my age. I used to have 27 guitars. I don't anymore because I don't have room for them.
Right. I'm staring at 14.
Yeah.
I think there's 20 in the house. I was up to about 22. Yeah, they're addictive, and they all do something a little different.
Well, that's probably because you had probably a good teacher and a decent guitar. So.
And gigs.
Yep.
Gigs
and
help.
Buddies to play with, and it's a social thing. Music's super social. So.
At least yeah. I have a friend who we've shouted out on the show before, Christine. She's starting a punk rock band called Green Tongue Twist, and I'm going, you go have a blast.
Oh yeah,
that just sounds like because she's like I think she's a senior in college, and she's just gonna go have a good time making loud noise.
That's great.
But I really love the fact that you guys still care about making good instruments, and at a price that where Gibson has totally forgotten about me because I'm just a working schmo. The last instrument I bought, I think I paid $1,200 for. That's about my ceiling, and even that was like, how do I come up with that? But you know, you find a bunch of good instruments in that 600 range. I think you guys are going to do great. We just got to figure out how to get word out.
Yep.
So if anybody's watching right now, they should share the video and go subscribe to Teton Guitars. It's Teton TV, or is it Teton Guitars? I can't remember the name of the channel.
Teton TV.
Teton TV, that's right. And what I'll do is I'm going to go subscribe on Get Off My Lawn Records. We make our subscriptions public. Everything we subscribe to is either friends of the show or artists on the label. So very cool. Thank you for coming on. And,
thanks, Don. Appreciate it.
And this was really super cool. If you guys ever come down to Austin, we're going to have to get you in the room and do an in-person. If you guys decide you want to do a South by, you want me to take a week off work and sit in your booth and play it for you, I'm happy to come do it.
Cool.
So
thanks so much.
Thank you so much. And we're back. I don't know what it is. They were so great because I am such a self-sabotaging jerk. I flaked on the one interview, right? I just screwed it up. I just didn't show. I didn't have Skype open. I just screwed it up. And then this one I forgot to hit record. But I wanna talk to them as much as I can. Whenever they have something new coming out, I'm gonna be like, come on the show, come talk to me. Let's talk about the new stuff.
Okay.
I'm really hoping I can talk them into making a baritone. So let's move on to section 4.
Section 4.
Our announcements, our goals, and a giveaway.
Yes.
So if you're still watching from the Teton interview, right? Welcome to section 4. This is where we talk about all the big announcements. The real big announcement I have this week is that the week that Paul Serrato's here. So next week we're going to have Bob Olson.
Yes.
Bob Olson's going to be on next week. The week after, Paul Serrato's going to be in town.
Yes.
From like the Wednesday to the Thursday to the Wednesday. And I don't want to miss a minute of getting to spend time with Paul. Paul is one of those guys where just being around him, you become a better musician.
Okay.
So I'm not going to record the podcast that week, but I've been ramping up a collection of special episodes.
Ah, okay.
So we're doing the 2 mix tutorials I've been talking about. We're going to do an analog mix tutorial and a digital mix tutorial. Digital will probably be me with a camera pointed at me and mostly staring at my screen. The analog one, I'm going to have to shoot multicam.
Okay.
And we'll just knock it out. What I'm going to use for the analog one is a Freeform Fridays. Okay. And for digital, we're going to use something from Jomo and the Possum Posse.
Nice.
Because we just recorded that. So Jomo and the Possum Posse is coming soon, very soon. I'm just about done with the audio. I should be done by this time next week. Okay. Give or take. Maybe next weekend. This weekend is just real busy for us, so it's going to be tough. Yeah. We've moved Sounds in Between to March. Yes. The next big thing we have coming is February 10. The Jazz Destroyers are playing a burlesque show. Yes. At Highball. I've never played a burlesque show. We'll see how that goes. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then after that, we're going to, while Paul Serrato's here, we're kind of ramping up for the big gig, right?
Yes, the big gig.
The big gig. And I need to apologize to Cedric if he's watching. I still haven't figured out a place to hang these.
You need to get on that.
Yeah, so if anybody knows of a cool store, maybe in South Austin, that might let me hang one of these posters, please leave a comment so that I can...
Maybe Straight?
I can work that out. Oh, I should totally talk to Straight.
You should totally talk to Straight.
I will talk to Straight. Yep. Okay. So, the show's coming up. We have Paul Serrato. So it'll be the Jazz Destroyers with Paul Serrato. We're going to record Freeform Fridays live at Cafe Creme over on Old Wharf. And if you haven't seen Freeform Fridays before, it's just hashtag Freeform Fridays.
You want to take that bag away.
Yeah, I do. So you're going to want to search hashtag Freeform Fridays if I forget to put a card up in the upper part. So people watching on certain platforms don't see the cards. I might I'm not sure how I feel about cards anymore. People aren't clicking the cards all that much, so we're gonna think about doing it a different way. Maybe we'll use the description.
Okay.
So Paul Serrato's coming in. We're gonna record probably an album with Paul while he's here. Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk to him a whole lot for the podcast. Mm-hmm. I think we're jokingly gonna call it our 10 minutes with Paul.
Yes.
Right? We'll chop it up. It'll be fun because he and I, we get chattering. It's just great. And then after Paul, we're recording WD-41, Willie O'Terry and Willie and Dave.
At the end of the month, yeah.
Yep. And they're also doing a thing called Dark Matter Horns. So they might decide they want it to be a Dark Matter Horns thing. I don't know yet.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that. After that would be Sounds in Between.
Is that next weekend?
Yep. It's like 3 in a row.
Jeez, is it on the calendar already?
Yeah, it's already on the calendar. And then after that, I'm waiting on dates for the Jazz Destroyers are going to make a video with Miss Eloise. She's got a song, a Sarah Vaughan tune she wants to do.
Okay.
And apparently Farrah Abraham is going to be in the music video. So that's going to happen.
Okay. Fair enough.
What else is going on? We're about to start production of physical units.
Yes.
I've been talking about this, but I've got all the stuff sitting out there. It is time.
It is time. It's time to put the couch back together.
Yep. So before Paul gets here, we're going to set everything up so we can kind of do a little bit of that before he gets here. I think our first run is going to be, I think I'm going to make a couple copies of It's a Secret to Everybody, or Secret to Nobody. Sorry, meta reference gone wild. It's a Secret to Nobody. I would like to have at least 1 or 2 of those just floating out in the world. So I'll probably use those for my test pressings while duplicating. And then we're going to do a run of Freeform Fridays 2016, the best of. This will be an early run. I'm going to hand number them. This isn't going to be the Get Off My Lawn Artisan Sound. So we're only going to charge $10 for these. This is going to be a standard CD, but I will hand number this batch. Okay. So if anybody wants one, you can get in touch through the Facebook page. You can do that or come to one of the shows. I'm going to try to have a bunch made for the Cafe Creme gig. Yes. So we're going to treat that like a CD release party. For the best of 2016. So that also means that the Jesse Thunderwake soundtrack, it's on SoundClick. You can go listen to Jesse Thunderwake on SoundClick. You can buy it on SoundClick. It's like $8. And if one more person buys it, they'll finally pay us out. So if you're interested in kind of a goofy, funny soundtrack, there it is. Or if you're...
It's actually pretty good.
I did it in 2006? No. 2011.
2011.
2010, 2011,
somewhere in there.
It was before I had bought a bunch of amplifiers.
Yes.
And before I'd bought a drum kit.
Yes.
Or at least brought my drum kit down from New York. And so there's a lot of simulated guitar speakers and MIDI drums, and I got pretty good at covering that stuff up, but it's there, so it will sound a little... it's 5 years old at this point, but go check it out. It's worth a laugh, and...
But it kind of fits the theme of the movie as well, so...
Yes, it does. All those songs, we totally did that soundtrack to score the film. Yeah. Millicent Hughes, we're going to record her in May. I'm looking forward to that. And... finally, Your Name Here, right? If you know any good bands, get them in touch with me. I'm interested in hearing what's out there. And we have a deal. Our contract is public, right? It's not, I clearly don't do this for money. It just, the economics of it are too wacky right now. Also, the big announcement, we've hit our 175 subscribers, finally. Woo-hoo! A stable 175. So thank you, all the new people. You
Yes,
guys are
thank
awesome.
you.
And let's try to push that up to 200. Let's see how fast we can do that. So that's our next goal is 200.
200? Okay.
How fast can we get to 200 subs? And it would warm my heart if it went quickly, because it's been a weird couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The other big goal we have going is on Friday, after this episode's come out.
Mm-hmm.
We made an announcement on the Facebook in the Get Off My Lawn Records family.
Mm-hmm.
So Bandcamp on Fridays tomorrow is going to donate their portion of the sale to the ACLU. I've decided that we are going to match it.
Yes.
So anybody who buys a record tomorrow...
Which this isn't going to come out before then, is it?
No, it won't. But let's do this. So for the month of February,
Okay.
we'll do the matching, even though Bandcamp's only doing it for a day.
Okay, so we will be donating our portion for the month of February.
We'll be donating the label's portion.
The label, yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Well, because I play on... Yeah, you know what? Let's do it that way. Pay whatever you want for It's a Secret to Nobody, and I'll give it all to the ACLU. Just go buy it, listen to it, and I'll give it away. And I'll give the money away. It's a good way to give them a donation and help everybody out. Yeah, let's do that. For the month of February, everybody who buys that's our giveaway. That'll be our giveaway this week. Because It's a Secret to Nobody's up there for pay what you want. So even if you want to pay nothing, go check it out, have a listen, have a download. I made it on my iPad. So when I finally put a price tag on it, I'm going to charge $10 for the disc.
Yeah.
Because it's a pain in the butt making the discs.
Mm-hmm.
But, download cards will still be $5, and I'm going to, on that one, I think it's $6 for the download when I finally put a price tag on it.
Okay.
So right now, get it while it's still gettable, right?
Yes.
So that's our giveaway. All right, what's next is our shout-outs.
Yes.
You start.
First shout-out is to my new biology lab group. Hi, people.
Cool. Really, is this like, have you finally found your study group?
Not quite, but...
Okay. But the new biology...
We get to dissect stuff.
Are they all like way younger than you? Because this one's in the day, isn't it?
No, this is a night. No. They're not way younger. I would say they're probably younger than me. At least most of them. But I wouldn't call them way younger.
Fair enough.
So.
Yeah, so what's up, guys? My first shout out is to Lisa Hauserman. Yep. Okay. I wrote it down. Lisa and I we're having a conversation in the comments section of Tom Hartman Live.
Really?
YouTube Live. I'm sitting there watching it, right?
Uh-huh.
And if I'm going to watch YouTube, I might as well log in as Get Off My Lawn Records, leave a comment. If I'm talking to somebody, mention the fact that, hey, you should subscribe. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, pretty soon our subscribe pillow will be coming.
Subscribe pillow? What?
Yeah, we're getting a pillow.
We're getting a pillow.
Yeah, I ordered a pillow back at Christmas. Oh. But it's like on a slow boat from China right now.
Okay.
But yeah, so Lisa, I was talking to her and we generally agree on our view of the world and things. And it's like, you should check out my podcast. It's a nice break from the politics. That's really why I've tried to keep this show non-political, because...
Yes. It keeps sneaking in, but...
It sneaks in because welcome to the world.
Yes.
But we try to not... And I try to respect everybody's views. Except Nazis. I have no respect for those views. But that's all right. Because there's less than 3% of them. So...
One can hope, anyway.
Yeah, one can hope. So, yeah. So that's my first shout out. Who's your second?
Second shout out. Second shout out is going to be to the protesters who have had to get reusable signs. Have you seen them?
I shared that one. Yeah. You got hip to that one because of me.
Probably.
My second shout out is to Justice for Gigi and the Dapple protesters at the same time.
Yes.
It's they apparently started setting the camp on fire. So seriously. So here we are.
Oh my god.
Welcome to the New World Order, guys. So I'm burying this one deep in a video because otherwise this thing will be suppressed for saying even an ounce of truth at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That's way to really take it down, right?
Yep.
Who's your third shout out?
Donuts.
That's a good alternative. I didn't get this big on accident. Donuts are good.
Donuts.
I don't eat so many of those these days. And my third shout out's always to the Get Off My Lawn Records family. Everybody on the family. What's up, guys? The family's growing, right? We had the 5 new members from Jomo and the Possum Posse.
Mm-hmm.
We, and Brenda, right? Brenda's now part of the family. And we're just trying to pitch in and get word out over what we're doing. So if you take a minute and hit share, it helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't already, leave a comment. All right, what's next? So everybody gets a trophy.
Everybody gets a trophy.
I have been fidgeting with my cube.
Yes.
I started this last week, my fidget cube. Did you know the joystick's already shitty?
Don't swear.
All right, well, okay. Earmuffs, kids. Yeah, feel the joystick. It's already like,
I don't think I felt it before.
That doesn't feel like a joystick. This is a knockoff.
I don't know. It kind of feels like a, yeah, no, okay, I get you.
Yeah, it's not
sticks.
nearly as nice as my 3DS joystick.
It sticks.
It sticks. So if anybody knows how to deal with that, let me know.
WD-40.
Like, I can pull it out and then it's real smooth. Yeah, I might have to spritz some WD-40 up in there. So, my first trophy goes to Teton Guitars.
Okay.
And specifically to Jeremy, who's doing that YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And helped set everything up with Ben. And Jeremy's doing a hell of a job out there. And everybody over there at Teton's doing a good job. I'm really looking forward to putting my hands on one. Once I can get a dealer near me, then I will go look. And then I might decide I need a new guitar.
We might need a weekend trip to...
He's not going to have the stuff I want to look at, though.
What about San Antonio?
No, that's the one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, obviously the first trophy for you... you get the On Point award. You have kept me on point all night while the cats distract me.
Yes.
Say hello to Studio Cat. How long's he been on your lap?
Maybe 5 minutes.
You lost the battle, but you won the war, didn't you? Yeah, you did. Damn cats are distracting. We are totally setting up a cat cam.
We totally are.
Hashtag cat cam.
Cat cam. Get Off My Lawn Records, cat cam.
Oh. I could totally sit here and live stream the cats.
God.
We will make that happen one day.
Mm-hmm.
It'll look terrible because I can't use the cameras we use for the podcast, but
yeah,
that's okay. All right.
And the award to you goes for not being as annoying with that fidget cube as I thought you would be.
Yeah, I've had it for about a week now. A little less than a week.
Yeah.
I've kind of broken it in the places it needs to be broken in, and then apparently broke the... But, like, the spinner's spinning pretty good now.
That's good.
like Jared was kind of right? Like once it all kind of breaks in, it gets better, except the joystick.
Yeah.
But the spinners, they don't stick anymore.
That's
The
good.
ball still isn't super smooth, but once you click it, it is. So, yeah. Get a fidget cube. They help.
Yes.
And the audience gets the Hang It In There award.
Yes.
You guys hung out for the whole thing. Way to go. We really thoroughly appreciate that. Now buy some records. And on that note,